Good evening. How we doing? It's Friday. It's 8 o'clock. We're live. Well, I think we're live. I've got 3 ticks. But when I joined StreamYard, it said that it's struggling to connect with Facebook. So if you're watching this on Facebook, can you let me know so I know it's working? I've got 3 green ticks, but nothing on the view account at the moment. So if you're watching this on Facebook, or if you're watching on YouTube, just give me a hello, let me know you're there, let me know you're watching, and I hope all is well with you. Today's live is going to be focused on trauma, PTSD, and you're more than welcome to ask me questions, as usual. Well, I had PTSD, so you can ask me in what's the bloody word? Jesus H Christ. In the capacity, there we go, of a therapist, or as somebody who was once a client who had PTSD removed, so on and so forth. I will go through the good, the bad, and the ugly, and all no holds barred truth of what it was like living with it, and what it was like after, of course, because there is light at the end of the miserable tunnel. Hi Sally, how you doing? Didn't sleep very well last night. Crap night's sleep. Up today, I was networking this morning, and then I went this afternoon to a talk seminar thing, only a short one, about how to do better on Google so people find you and stuff like that. So yeah, if you're watching this on me shouting at the dog, I'm dog sitting today. And she's just hovering about. So you want to come and say hello? Oh, yeah. Ready? Boing! Say hello then. Hello, this is Candy. Hi. Get down. Oh, there we go. Go lie down. Yeah, so let's begin, shall we? And hopefully more shall join as we go along. So I also realised when I was thinking about doing this that all the sort of scientific sort of explanations of PTSD and the things that make me sound intelligent, I forgot because I don't use them. When clients talk to me, I'm not interested. They just want to know, can you fix it? Can you help me? Can you end this suffering? That's all they're interested in. But another thing you need to know, I can help people with PTSD. I'm not allowed to diagnose it. So I call it trauma burnout. And that's what it is. It's burnout from trauma. And again, there's lots of little labels and letters I like to throw at it and make it sound as, complicated. And I'm here to make it as simple as sounding as possible. It's trauma burnout. That means you've gone through trauma and it's all stored up here, and now your shit bucket has overflowed, and your brain will blame the last thing that that happened. In a lot of cases, it's like the straw that breaks the camel's back. I've had many clients come to me with PTSD, and after they tell me about all this horrific stuff they've gone through, but they come to me with things that they think is trivial, they're getting angry with things that they shouldn't be getting angry at, and that's what stuck there, sort of thing. But a lot of times, it is an event, a traumatic event that sticks in our head, and the negative emotions are linked to it. And we've evolved, and we're built to withstand trauma and stress, that sort of thing. But again, it's not supposed to happen day in, day out, and we can't escape from it. As I mentioned before, the brain can't tell the difference between thought and reality. So when we're thinking about it, it generates those shitty images, those shitty emotions linked to the image, and that's when it just haunts us. So with me, and again, I know many of you have heard my story before. I'm sick of bloody hearing it, to be honest. But you never know. One person might not have done, and that's why I do these lives, for those people who haven't bored senseless with my story. Anyway, so yeah, along with burnout from my business, in 2014, my dad died, and that was the trigger for my PTSD. I had all the guilt, the shame, the anger that I didn't help him die quicker, that I didn't put him out of his misery, that I let him suffer. It was my fault. I should have done something, anything, and then you come up with all matter of irrational shite that makes sense at the time in your head, but and yeah, I lived with that for 6 years. Yeah, 6 years, day in, day out. That image, that movie playing over in my head of him lying there, struggling to breathe and making choking noises of all the shit that comes up out your lungs and whatever else. Again, I don't know if he was actually suffering or not, because by the time we got him home to die, he was past the point of no return. And I'm still of the opinion, and always will be of the opinion, of when you're in that state, a nurse, doctor should just whack a load of morphine in or something to send you asleep that you won't wake up from. Not only does it save the person who's dying a lot of aggro, if they feel it, if they're they're mentally enough to acknowledge what they were going through, in which case definitely need that happening. And also it saves the people around a lot of looking at a shit scenario. Anyway, so that happened, and now when I think about it, obviously I think about my dad dying, I have the human emotions of feeling sad, of missing him, so on and so forth, but I don't have the pain, the shame, the anger, the guilt, and all of that consumed my life. And I was still doing my business, my haulage company, and I took on the role of man of the house. I now need to bring money in, and I need to do this, and put all this extra pressure on me. Did it to myself, put all this extra pressure on myself to do something that didn't really need doing. As business turned to shit and got more stressful, lost a couple of relationships along the way. My marriage went down the toilet. Lost contact with friends, because just like focusing on my business. I'm going to put the hard work in now. In a few years' time, it'll pay off. And all those crappy old-fashioned ways of thinking that's just utter bullshit. You might become successful in 10 years' time, but whatever you're going to sacrifice now? Because 10 years is a long time. If you've got a baby now or a toddler now, 10 years, that's a completely different child that's grown up without a parent, really. It happens. I see it a lot. As majority of my clients are business owners, and they know they're doing it, but sometimes I just need it pointing out to them so they actually have it sink in. And I do that quite bluntly. Anyway, I was coping, I was manning the fuck up. I'd got everything under control, as you do, and all that crap as well. And didn't really have anything under control. When people ask me what it was like, and again, at any point you want to ask any questions, feel free, and I'll do my best to answer them as honestly as I can. When I was at my lowest, I said to people, it's like there's somebody else in my head. It wasn't me. It was somebody else. This horrible, nasty monster that was growing in there. And when the time came when I decided I was going to end it all and that it was time for this monster to die, it wasn't suicide in my mind. It was murder. I was going to kill this thing that I wanted to keep away from my family. And 2 seconds. Just got somebody asking for the link for this. Bear with me. Are you able to share it in the group chat, Sally? Please, if you can. I can't seem to do it whilst it's running from my end. You just be able to press the share button and it give you the link to put in the group chat. If you could do that, that'd be great. Thank you. Where was I? Yeah. So there was this monster growing in my head, and I was hiding away, running away. I was keeping my family and loved ones safe from this nasty bastard that I was turning into, or that I was. Didn't want to go to family things because, I was just a miserable bastard that no one wanted to be around. And but my family did try, and they never sort of pushed me away or things like that. I did it to myself, and it was all me. And there's only so much someone can take living with that. But we've all got our own life issues, we've all got our own stresses, and so on and so forth. And obviously, back then I didn't know what I know now. And it's easy to say I could have done 1,000 things differently. I definitely would have got help a lot sooner, on how that much. But yeah, just this thing that was in my head literally controlled me. Thank you, Sally. Thanks. And he just consumed every single waking minute of the day. Just this image or this movie would play over an hour. Sometimes it'd stop, but then out of nowhere it'd just spark back up again. And there we go. And not only did I get the image, but obviously all the emotions and all the shit that come with it comes right to the surface. And the majority of it, the main emotion that was stuck was anger. I was a very angry person, not just like miserable angry. I was angry, as in just rage, constant rage inside me. I was angry at everybody, everything. Didn't know what was happening, so it's everybody else's fault. Work was shit. I mean, I was doing some stupid hours, driving stupid miles, all for money, and because it was giving me some sort of escape. With a mix of indirect suicide and potential self-harm, I developed a way that brought me happiness. So I'd race the van around country roads and stuff like that, not giving a shit about, any oncoming traffic or whatever else. It was that potential, it might end now, that excited me. And it was that where I was getting my happiness from. That was releasing my happy chemicals in my mind. So the more that was happening, the more I'd be doing it. I eventually moved into my own house with my wife, and was what it is. What it is. As I said, I was just a angry, nasty bastard who hated the world, hated everybody in it, and if I think back now, it was down to embarrassment. It was down to embarrassment that I was feeling weak. I wasn't this John Wayne Clint Eastwood character that I'd developed for myself over the years. I wasn't being that. I was being, I don't know what it was, this weak, pathetic excuse for a man who gets upset every time an image pops into his mind. I gets angry at everything. I'll tell you what, it used to really wind me up. And again, with it, a lot of simple things really can become like, those of you know me now, I always listen to music, so I've always got my earphones with me, and they're usually hanging out there, and it's plugged into my MP3 player, because apparently that makes me old these days. MP3 player. And obviously there's a little loop that comes out the pocket as it goes up my jumper. If I caught that on the kitchen unit, the handles of the drawer handles, I would go absolute apeshit. I would hit the roof. I don't know what it was. I would fly off the handle. And again, looking back now, it's fucking ridiculous. But then it seemed a rational thing to get that angry over catching your earphone cable in, the hook of the drawer handle or the door handle, whatever it might have been. I would go absolutely mental. So I was living with that. I was trying to do my best. Weren't good enough for anybody. Simple as that. It was an absolute piss poor way to live, and I completely lost my 20s. And I was stuck there working, and using that as an escape and doing all that. I then do stupid things like the trouble is, the crosser you get, the more it catches. Yep. I don't think cross was quite the word. I was absolutely infuriated, and I still do get a bit snappy at things, at ridiculous things. And I know now I see it as, you know, I'm going through a stressful time. I get a bit short-tempered. Sometimes I need to be told you're being an arsehole, you know, and then my brain goes, all right. And I know now how to sort of get around it and put things into place to make things better. Back then I didn't. Dog's gone for a walkie. But yeah, it was a horrible time in my life for everybody, everyone around me. And not only have I separated myself from people who I was once very close with, because I wasn't me. This thing was taking over. This monster was taking over. And you lie down. They don't work with animals. Like, don't even have them in the same room as you. But as I say, looking back, there's a million and one things I could have done differently, but we can't go back in time. That's another important thing. The time you wasted now, you know, depression, anxiety, PTSD, whatever it may be, that's what it is. You are wasting valuable, precious time that you're never going to get back. I missed loads of life opportunities, loads of them. Different ways that I could have gone into a different business that might have changed my life that way, so on and so forth, and I turn them all down because we get into the pattern, the routine, the habits, and the more we go into that burnt out state of mind, the more we have to fix on them, the more we have to keep doing it over and over again. And as the saying goes, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. I didn't get different results. I got the same shit day in, day out. Occasionally something would happen that would sort of flick a switch in my mind and I'd get a bit better. But then the everyday reality would sink back in again, and back I went. Back into that misery that I was living in. And it was becoming normal. It was just becoming who I was, basically. I would come home from work, lock myself in my room, lock myself in my room, play on my computer, keep myself away from my wife, because why the hell would she want to be near me? Obviously, she did, because, you know, meant to be together and that sort of thing. But I didn't want to spend time with myself, so why does anybody else want to spend time with me? And all these things just stick and stick and stick, and you tell yourself these things. And it's those voices in your head, and what you tell yourself is what you become. It becomes your reality. So then my reality was this shit. Victoria, how are you? Don't you think that those opportunities were not right for you because you were not mentally ready to take the opportunities? I guess so. Obviously, I do believe everything happens for a reason in life. I'm not a spiritual person or anything like that, but I do believe that things do happen for a reason. I'll explain more of that in a minute about the changes I made and things like that. But yeah, if I took those opportunities, would it have helped? Who knows? Maybe, maybe not. But the thing is, can't go back, so I'll never know. 2020 happened. That shook one hell of a shitstorm up. I think 2020 was when I decided that was it. Enough's enough. I lost my uncle. it was like a second dad to me. My brother-in-law killed himself. Obviously, my marriage was all but over. Business had gone to shit a couple of years before. I was now working for a company, and they were absolute arseholes. Didn't care about their workers whatsoever. So that obviously added on to the burnout, and then the burnout added on to the PTSD, and it was just that one big shitty cycle. The one thing that I didn't have, that a lot of people do have, is sort of night terrors and things like that. I tend to have, or used to have, dreams about being at work and something happening there where it'd all go wrong, or something really ridiculous, like I'd get fucking kidnapped or something, you know. That's and then all my dreams would be me trying to escape, trying to run away, trying to fight, whatever it might be. Again, I don't believe dreams mean anything. Just that that's your brain processing things. So luckily I could sleep at night. That was because I was so knackered anyway during the day. But yeah, it was the driving and that and delivering that I could sleep. But then I was up between 2 and 5 of the morning every day. Looking back, no idea how I used to do that. I have to get up at 7 now. I'm done. 8 o'clock's my get up time. Sod the early mornings. But yeah, so 2020, all that shit happened. Lockdown, obviously, COVID. When we all got back to normal, want to put it that way, I think a lot of people during lockdown faced their own mental health things. Again, I didn't know what I was facing, what was happening. Didn't have a bloody clue. Come end of 2020, as I said before, decided enough's enough. I'm going to have Christmas with my family, say goodbye, and then when I go back to work in January, the van was going under a lorry, and I'd planned it all out. And that was because other things I'd done didn't work. I never tried to kill myself directly. It was always indirect. I mean, using another method. And again, that seemed rational at the time, but things like kitting myself out with my rings on and watch on and whatever, I mean, value-wise, it weren't worth anything really, but stick it all on, walk around town at night, hopefully walk into a gang of muggers, and with a bit of luck, they'd be armed to the teeth and put me out of misery. Or I could have unleashed all this anger that was bottled up inside of me on them, and I'd do the world a favour and take out a few scumbags. And that was my thinking. And it was perfectly rational at the time. So I'd do that, and as I say, I was driving like a dickhead. I didn't do drink or drugs or anything like that. Some people do. That's another self-harm and possible indirect suicide method. But it was Christmas time, and or coming up to Christmas time, and I visit my auntie, and I just said, feeling a bit crap, you know, work shit, just can't be asked. And because I never told anybody anything, because I was manning up. I got it all under control, haven't I? She gave me his card for this hypnotherapist. As I mentioned in previous lives, the only other time I had anything to do with hypnosis was when I was about 13 years of age. And there was a bloke at the hotel at Forteventura making people do funny things on stage. And not once did it stick in my head that that's something I ever wanted to do, learn, or even be interested in finding out what was going on. To this day, I cannot give you an explanation of why I rang him. I literally went out my auntie's house to my cousin's house, and from there I sat on the car park to where their houses were, and I called him. Why? Why did I do that? I don't know. But from the moment I spoke to him, I just felt this connection. Because as I said, I'd never really reached out for help. I knew I needed to do something, get away from something, but I didn't know what. And from talking to him on that consultation, that quick phone call, just felt this connection. Didn't check that I could even afford him. I just, okay, let's get booked in then. And he opened up especially for me for my first session, and bloody good job he did. And again, as I've said before, I've helped many people with PTSD, and they've had that penny drop moment. They've had that eye-opening moment of, fuck me, what a change. But I still think back to how I felt that day when he'd finished. Just before we get there, when we start, you have to either client a pre-talk, so we get some ready, and you have to explain what's going to happen, so on and so forth. I didn't care. And I said to him, at this point, if you told me you're going to stick pins in my eyes, I'm going to let you. And anybody who knows me know that I do not let anybody or anything by my eyes. As soon as I see something there, I'm scrunched up and protecting my eyesight. I believe then I would have genuinely held my eyes open. If he told me he was going to stick pins in my eyes and it was going to help me, I'd let him do it. That's how desperate I was. He did his thing, and it was great. Magical. I'll pick that up in a minute when I discuss how it works and how it works for PTSD and that. But I opened my eyes, and this image that was haunting me now didn't have any emotions linked to it. Nothing. It was just an image in the mind. It had been processed. As I say, now, thinking about my dad dying, obviously, I feel the normal human emotions of sadness and so on and so forth, but there's no guilt, anger, something I couldn't have done or maybe should have done. I was a different person. Completely different person. I left that place, I went home, and my life changed. The only other time then something happened to me that I can't explain why. I'd started training to do what I do now, and unfortunately I fell for the marketing of many hypnotherapy courses out there and went on to a crap one to start with. But I knew I had a goal, I had a purpose now. I had something in my life worth doing, and I knew what I wanted to do. Two things that therapist said to me at the very start. Number one, whose problem is this? Mine. Brilliant. I took responsibility straight away. It's my issue, my problem. If it's everybody else's problem, if it's the world's against me and all that, we've got an issue we've got to sort out there, because the problem is in your head and it's you that's going to sort it out in there. And the other one was, he said to me, if you're bashing your head off a brick wall and on the paracetamol, if you're going to continue to do it after we finish, then I'm completely pointless. And again, that's the truth. And I've got clients who've made brilliant progress, but don't want to. They choose not to do the main big changes in their life that they need to do, and that's their choice. Everything's a choice. Getting help is a choice. Sitting about suffering is a choice. They're choices. I was delivering, I think I was down by London. And I remember coming down the stairs. It was a straight run down the stairs. I used to deliver bedroom furniture. It was a straight run down the stairs, out the front door, into the back of the van, get another panel. And I'd just come down the stairs. I'd already been up and down, and the bloke I was working with, and again, terrific bloke who I worked with, and he saw the change in me. He'd worked with this horrible, miserable, and then he saw that switch. I come down the stairs, and he was already in the back of the van, and he was getting the piece to take up. And something just clicked in my head. I went, I'm done. But I'm done. I don't want a job. I'm done. I don't need it. And he's heard this 1,000 times before, me saying, "You're going to quit. I ain't coming back Monday," and all this. So, of course, he was, yeah, okay. But I did. I went home that weekend. I wrote my letter of resignation. I handed it in Monday morning, and I never looked back. Even after, when I left, and I was had to sell my house. So I put it on for sale. It went through quite quickly, but the money took another 6 months for it all to go through and clear. Absolute shit process. Don't know how people are multiple movers. I've got no intention of ever buying or selling a house again, unless someone does it all for me. But even when I was in debt. I was thousands and thousands of pounds in debt, and I'd started my business. I was doing my training. If that house had gone through, I'd have been in shit street. If that house had fell through, I'd have been in shit street. Luckily, it went through, and everything was all right. Paid my debts off, so on and so forth. Brilliant. But I never panicked. If the worst was to happen, I could have dealt with it. I'd have sorted it. I'd have come up with something. Many years before, it would have just been panic and stress and, oh God, what am I going to do here? And that's what happens. That fight, flight, freeze mindset takes over, and that's how we live our lives. So how does it work? As I mentioned before, it's all images in the mind. Now, PTSD, I don't believe, comes from one issue. It's a multiple of things that build up and build up. And this was shown to me because when I'd gone for my original therapy, I knew that was done, and I was making all these great life changes. I'd changed my life completely. I was doing well, but I felt there was still something niggling away. In training people, we were practicing on each other, and I'd had all this over and over again. Something just wasn't quite there. I didn't know what it was. And it was when I was on my first main, I was there in Bristol doing a course. And this other lady who was partnered with me wasn't the most confident. She's got all her bits of paper out in order because we were told these are the techniques, go away, make them yours, give it your personality to them and make it yours. So we was going to do that. She got all the bits of paper out on it, and she was going through it, regimented. And I don't know what she done, but she shook something loose in my head. And we was just about finishing this bit, and I was going to swap over. And I says, I don't know what you've done, but there's something that's come up, and I couldn't physically say what it was. I couldn't physically say the word. So I asked her for a pen. She gave me a pen, and I wrote it on my hand and I wrote guilt. She worked with me enough so I could say the word guilt. Coming from many years before my dad dying, my gran had got lung cancer and she died. And not long after that, my granddad got dementia and all that shit that comes with that. And then he died. I'm not a carer. As I've mentioned before, take my hat off to anybody who is. I am not a carer. My mom looked after my granddad, and my dad, and worked as well, and so on and so forth. And I didn't. I did bits, but I didn't help as much as I could have done. And I stored that guilt, and it got compressed right down and forgotten about until everything else had moved out of the way, and then that come up. Once that had gone, complete and utter peace of mind, of whatever you want to. So how does it work? Everything is images in the mind, and your brain can't tell the difference between thought and imagination, so these images play over and we have those negative emotions. Now, all memories are lies. I know for a fact that that image that haunted me, no matter how realistic it might have seemed at the time, was a lie. It didn't happen that way. It was little bits that my brain had picked up from that night, and it had stuck it all together to make this shitty movie of horrible crap, right? And it was that was going on in my mind. Add on to that this is what you should have done, and you get this lovely Oscar-winning movie that plays over and over and over again. But if you alter that image, if you change it so it's a complete lie, well, your brain can't have those emotions linked to it. And that's what I do. Absolute pointless. If you have got PTSD, in my opinion, absolute pointless talking about it. There is a form of therapy out there, which I'm not going to mention, because if said lady who teaches this and created it catches hold of it, she tends to send lovely letters from her lawyers out and likes to make shit for you. So it's a form of hypnotherapy, apparently. And it's absolutely horrific. It should not be allowed. And I don't have opinion of something unless I've experienced it, and I did. Because I've heard other people say how horrific it was and that they've had to put clients right, that this has made worse, and so on and so forth. I've done so myself now. Wow, I'll tell you what, I've worked with people of all manner of trauma, sexual abuse, all the childhood traumas, car accidents, so on and so forth. Not once would I ever take somebody back in their mind as them associated to that event. No. That's what happens when you talk about it. So tell me what happened. I had this big car crash and blah, blah, You're now reliving it. You're there, you've sat there in the car and smash, and you're feeling everything all over again, over and over and over. Talking about it does not help in this situation. Sometimes, if you talk about it enough, your brain will numb it. But that could take years and years of torment before you get there. With these images then in the mind, your mind needs its own way of dealing with it. And that's what I do. I get you in your mind to alter it. For me, I was sat at my dad's favourite bar with him, and he told me, there's nothing you could have done, there's nothing you can do, let it go. And that weight just went. Magic. I've had clients who got rid of it because in their head they were in one of them was in medieval England throwing stuff into a river. There's no manner of talking about the issue that's going to, if that's what your brain now needs to alter it, there's no manner of talking about the actual issue, because the issue is never the issue, that's going to help you. So yeah, change the image, the emotions go. For some people, it's easy. Some people need a little bit more work before we get there. And again, I work with each individual person as an individual person, not a label. 5 people will come to me and say, I've got trauma issues. All 5 of them will require a different pace, different techniques, different, what works for one person may not work for the other. So I've got to work out as fast as I can how this person's brain works, what do they need. And the only time I talk to them, and again, when we've done that and we've done the removal, I've heard some horrific stories. And they've been sat there pissing themselves laughing. They're telling me this horrific thing that once ruled their life that caused them so much pain and misery, and then they're laughing about it because they can. Now that's powerful. Being able to give somebody that power over their mind and be able for them to realise that they have that control of their mind is amazing. One of the most common types of trauma that I see isn't anything to do with violence or anything like that. It's childbirth. Because childbirth for both partners who are involved can go from being one of the happiest moments of their life to a complete living nightmare like that. And it's that's the most common that I've sort of helped with. Very rarely see soldiers or people like that. Thousands, hundreds of thousands of them out there that really do need the help. But the culture that they come from, it's not done. The odd few may do, but they're both, they're in that culture to believe a certain way, and it's getting someone now to think about something different. One day, hopefully, my message will get out there and be the norm. That's what I'd like. Will I ever see that in my lifetime? Who knows? Be nice, I think so. But I will continue to do what I do and spreading that around, because that's what I want people to see their mental health and getting it sorted like they would getting a haircut. I'm feeling a bit shit this month. Business has been shit. I need a bit of help. Can I book in? Yeah. That's what I want. None of this. No, I'll be all right. I'll be all right. I'll be all right. Well, family's gone, but I'll be all right. I'll be all right. Business has gone on its arse. But I'll be all right. I'll be all right. No, you won't. Get some fucking help. Take it from me. Get some help. If you can do it on your own, brilliant. But if not, get some help. And find that person that you connect with. I was lucky. I connected with my therapist like that, and it was a great it was a great time. Unfortunately, people do see the therapist they don't connect with, and it's hard to get a result then. I do the consultation for that. Are we going to work together? If I believe we can do and that we would be a good match, I'll tell you what I have to offer. If not, if I know somebody who will benefit you more, I'll pass the details on. And sometimes doing that helps people a lot more than if you just say yes because it's a money thing. If you're suffering from PTSD, if you're suffering from any sort of trauma related things, please don't wear it as a badge of honour. Because it's not the only person you're fucking up is you. You're fucking your family's lives up, your friends, but especially you. And you will never get that time back. You will never, ever get that time back. And honestly, if you've been through the months and years of talking and talking and talking about it to the point of you're sick of talking about it, there is something different out there. And it's not woo-woo, it's not, fairies and magic dust and all that bollocks. It is what the brain wants and needs. It's just giving it a push. It's being able to pinpoint those things and getting you the help that you need to move on, move forward, and crack on with your life. Do you help with bereavement too? Yep, I do. I can help with grief, that sort of thing. I'll probably do a live about that. I'll probably do that next week, actually. Do a dedicated live about bereavement, grief. Yeah, I'll do that then. It creates lots of regrets. Yes, it does. And we can't go back in time. We can't do anything different. We do what we do. And it's easy for me to look back on my life and say, oh, could have done that, could have done that, could have done that. But I can't. All I can do now is learn from those mistakes. And if I'm ever put in that situation again, do things differently and have a different mindset about it. But I'm not perfect. I can help other people, but sometimes it's the what's it called now? The cobbler's shoes effect. Is that right? Everyone's shoes are in tip-top order apart from the shoemaker who's not got time to fix his own. I like to keep on top of my mental health the best I can. But it is, like every other business, it's very stressful. It isn't the whole, oh, everybody will fall through your door because you say you're a hypnotherapist, like we're told when we're training. Bollocks. No, they don't. That's why today I've been sat there for over an hour learning more about Google. Does not interest me, does not excite me in the slightest learning about that, but I've got to do it. So people just, when they Google PTSD help near me, and I pop up. The whole attitude of it's a badge of honour, it's a thing to be proud of, needs stopping, because it's not. You're wasting your life. You're ruining the lives of the people around you, the people who care about you, who love you. You deserve, you deserve to be the best version of yourself. You deserve to have the life that you want. You deserve to have the life of your family that you want. And what's happened in the past, we can't go back and change. It's happened. But it needs leaving there. It needs staying there. Not bringing into the present and not stopping us from doing things in the future. We can learn from mistakes, we can learn from this, that, and the other, but it needs to be left in the past so you can move on and you can live your life now, because that's what's important right now. Yep, thank you. I'll more than happy to have a chat with her. So I'm going to wrap this live up, and thank you for joining. Don't know if it went out on Facebook. Not got any viewers on it, so bit of a shitter if it hasn't. But it wouldn't be one of my lives, would it, without a technical problem? Every bloody week or something. Yeah, I've had no usual messages off people who watch on Facebook or anything like that, so I'm assuming it didn't go out on there. But that's me. That's my story. If you want to help, jump on our website, mindsetsft.com. Book yourself in. Let's get you booked in for a consultation. Let's have a chat. And if you're ready to change your life, then I want to go on a journey with you. Thank you all for joining. Thank you for spending your precious time with me. It means a lot. And I hope you're all well. And take care, whatever it is you're doing. And if you want any help, advice, just a message away. Drop a comment in the comments box. I will reply to you as soon as I possibly can. Have a great weekend. Have a great week. And I will be back next week, 8 o'clock. Take care. Bye-bye.